Alright, hi everybody. So this is a video in case you need help reviewing the reproductive stages of a virus, specifically a bacteriophage is what we're going to look at. You need your note sheet, and so we're going to be on the inside of, inside of the note sheet right here. Okay, we're going to be talking about the 4 different stages of viruses. Indirect today, we're also going to be use a cutout for virus reproduction, and you'll cut those out and paste them into your notebook to help. Okay, so the first stage is attach, and so what happens with this stage, remember we're talking a bacteriophage, and so we have those tail fibers, and those tail fibers match up with a specific cell. So if you remember, cells on the outside of the cell is like flags, and those flags ultimately are proteins that are kind of like a lock and key situation. So the virus, in this case the bacteriophage, attached to that cell. So this bacteriophage would not affect your cells, but instead it would attach to a bacteria cell. It would have the right protein lock and key to fit with that bacteria cell. Okay, so the virus attaches. Here we go. Okay, virus attaches. So right here, virus attaches is your fill-in. Virus attaches to the cell, okay? And I forgot the little DNA inside that cell, so you can draw a little squiggly line. You can see one kind of coming out of the top of it. It should be on the inside of that. So if we draw it in, okay, so you're going to want to draw, see how I have that one in red right there, so you can draw a squiggly line in. That's the DNA, okay, so that's what you're drawing in. So the virus attaches to the cell, okay? Next, here is an actual, here's an actual bacteriophage. So this is an electron microscope picture. Remember, viruses are so tiny, you cannot see them with a regular microscope. We need an electron microscope to get a picture of it. So here is the bacteria, here's the bacteriophage. Kind of looks like an alien landing on the moon, right? So that's what it is, all right? The next phase is invade. Okay, so what happens here is the viral DNA, okay, invades the cell, okay, invades the cell as your fill-in, all right? So this DNA actually goes inside the cell, just like it is on your picture, okay? Once it's inside the virus, the DNA actually messes with the bacteria's DNA. It does the same thing in your cells, okay? And remember how we made proteins in class? We linked arms, we made the ribosome, right? And then we linked arms, called in the amino acids to make the protein. Well, the same thing happens here, okay? What happens is the bacteriophage's DNA, or the virus DNA, messes with the cell's DNA. And it says to the cell's DNA, make more copies of me. So it makes an RNA strand of the virus. That RNA strand heads over to the ribosome and it calls in the proteins. But this time it's not proteins to help the cell. Instead, it's proteins to make more viruses. So here's the bacterial, Here's the bacteria DNA. This is the cell's DNA. And here is the virus DNA. Okay, it interferes with that, and it says, make more copies of me. So right now, this cell is making more and more copies of the virus. More and more copies of the virus, okay? So on your fill-in, step 3 is copy. So the DNA copies and makes new viruses, okay? DNA copies. So again, it makes more viruses until finally they release, bursting out, releasing hundreds of new viruses, okay? All of these viruses are heading to new cells. Now, let me move this. Here is an electron microscope picture of bacteriophages affecting or bursting out of a bacteria cell. This is an actual picture, okay? Look at all of those thousands of cells, hundreds of them, bacteria, viruses, bursting out of this cell. Right? So all of these viruses are now heading to new cells, okay? So that's why on day 1 of getting a virus, you don't really know you're sick. Day 2, you maybe feel a little achy, like something's going on in your body. Day 3, you're down and out, right? 4, 5, and 6, you're down and out. And then finally, your body starts to fight it off and is able to come back around. So with viruses, we can't take antibiotics. We can only let our body fight it off. Okay, you do get flu vaccines, right? So every fall you have to get a flu shot. Well, the reason you have to get a flu shot is because the flu virus, the influenza virus, is an RNA virus. So every year it kind of changes its shape just a little bit. And so we don't have the exact one that we know is going to be around. They think they have an idea of what it is, so that's why you have to get a flu shot every year, because the virus does change every year. Now that's different than a DNA virus. A DNA virus isn't going to change as often, okay? We're going to get more into that tomorrow, all right? But if we look at this video of what's actually happening, so here comes the bacteriophage, and it attaches. So step 1, attach. Step 2 is when it invades the cell. So what happens is either part or the DNA goes inside the cell, or sometimes the entire virus goes inside the cell. Okay? So attach, invade, now it's the copy phase. The viral DNA messes with the bacteria DNA, and it says, make more copies of me. Make more virus copies. And so that's what begins to happen. More virus, it uses the ribosomes and all the machinery that the cell has, and it makes more and more and more copies of the virus until finally there's too many viruses for the cell, and they release or explode out of the cell, heading off to new viruses. Okay? I hope that explains what virus reproduction looks like.